There's been a series of marches today. One of them is in Glasgow, one in Edinburgh, but one in Glasgow. And people have turned up. And the people at this march are pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine, pro the killers of babies, pro the aras of women. They are the supporters of animals. They are showing themselves that really multiculturalism has failed. Their very presence on the street shows that multiculturalism has failed, because this is a culture that reveres people that do these things to children. It's not the culture that we want. We need this to be removed from our culture. We don't want people who praise child killers to be allowed to walk the street and shout praises. If they feel that strongly that they want to be like that, they should go and live in countries where that is the norm. It is not the norm in this country. It must never be allowed, and it must never be tolerated. It is also hate. It is an anti-Semitic hate march. It needs everyone present to be arrested and charged with public disorder and with hate crimes, and to be imprisoned for it. Every single one. Because if this was white people walking down calling for the support of, say, the Ku Klux Klan, you can guarantee the police would be in there like a shot. But because it's non-whites and they're supporting Hamas, the police are standing by and doing nothing, because the police force in Scotland is controlled by the SNP, which is led by a pro-Hamas supporting Muslim. And the police are scared. That's the other thing, of course, because the police, like Humza Yousaf, do not have any balls. They are spineless, ballless Ken dolls in blue suits, scared to go and do anything about this mass showing of absolute hate and intolerance. Why are the police like that? It's because that's how Humza Yousaf wants them to be. It's a one-sided issue, this hate crime, isn't it? Let's have a look, see what's going on. So Flashpoint fears as hundreds attend pro-Palestine rallies in Glasgow and Edinburgh. Now I'm going to show you, before we get into this, I'm just going to show you that picture. Can somebody please point to me and say where the police are? Because you know what? I can't see a policeman. You have these pro-baby killing, pro-arring of women supporters marching on the streets, shouting anti-Semitic chanting. Absolute hate crime. An absolute hate crime. Where's the police? Why are the police so noticeable in their absence? Because, as I say, if that was white people chanting to get rid of all the brown people out of the country, then there would be a lot of policemen there, and that would be seen as a bad thing. But because this is brown people chanting to get Jews out of Israel and eradicate and basically genocide all the Jews in the world, because that's what Hamas believe, that there should not be a Jew on the face of the earth, that's allowed. Under Humza Yousaf, the Muslim-in-chief of Scotland, that is tolerated and allowed. That should never, ever be tolerated and allowed. And it goes to show how bad Scotland's got, that is being allowed and that is being tolerated under the rule of the SNP and its Muslim-in-chief who's leading it. Why are the police not arresting? Why are the police standing? Well, they're not even standing by. They're just not even attending. Rallies have taken place across the UK, with marches in Glasgow seen waving placards with the slogan, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." Well, I've got to say, it's not going to happen. The Israelis will push them into the sea before they allow that to happen. Home Secretary Suella Braverman has said this is an offence and it should not be tolerated. Hundreds of pro-Palestine campaigners have taken to the streets of Glasgow to protest against Israel's uncompromising response to Hamas attacks. Yeah, let me explain something to you. If you go into somebody's house and murder their children, do you think they're just going to sit back and not visit your house? Do you think that they're just going to sit there and let that happen? Because they aren't. And the fact is that because you seem to think it's acceptable, these people seem to think it's acceptable to destroy, murder and kill Jewish babies, they don't like it when people complain about them. Well, tough fuck, wankers. Anyway, placards were also seen with the phrase, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," which Home Secretary Suella Braverman has suggested could be an offence, as it amounts to a call for Israel to be wiped from the map. It is. It's an offence. It's hate. It's anti-Semitic. And it is calling for genocide. She said the slogan was illegal under the Public Order Act in a letter she sent to police chiefs in England and Wales on Tuesday. But of course, Humza Yousaf never sent that letter to the head of Police Scotland because, you know, he'd have been very unpopular down the mosque if he'd have done that. It comes as thousands of people have gathered for pro-Palestine protests up and down the country on Saturday, all of them supporting child murdering auras of women. You know, scum. All of them supporting scum. It's not surprising, really, is it? Anyway, they're telling whether they are. There's Edinburgh, London, Bristol, Manchester, and that picture there, obviously Glasgow. More than 1,000 police officers were deployed in London, with Met warning that anyone showing support for Hamas will face arrest. In London, protesters marched from the BBC's new broadcasting house to Downing Street ahead of the demonstration. The BBC HQ was vandalised and covered in red paint. Criminal offences, how many people were arrested? I bet not many. Because policemen are cowards. Oh, they're okay. You misgender someone, they'll send half a dozen to your house. You know, you drive 31 in a 30 zone ban, you're getting done. But you show support. You're on the street showing racist, hateful placards and supporting the people who kill children. Nah, we're not going to do nothing there. That looks a bit dodgy. Better run away and hide. The conflict began when Hamas people launched multiple raids on Israel last Saturday morning, murdering hundreds of civilians and taking scores of hostages. Now, what Israel have done is they've closed down the border, they've turned off the gas, they've turned off the electricity, they've turned off the water, and they said they're staying off until you hand over the hostages. Well done, Israel. Got to say that's the correct thing. That's the great, that's the best thing. At least 1,300 people have died in Israel after that assault and the subsequent attacks. More than 2,200 people have been killed in Gaza since Israel launched retaliatory airstrikes, and a ground offensive is also expected at any time now, with 1.5 million or 1.1 million people in northern Gaza told to flee south to safety this weekend. And if they don't, then that just goes to show how stupid these people are, because after what has happened to Israel, the Israeli Defence Force is not going to be sympathetic to your cause. First Minister Humza Yousaf, whose wife's parents are currently stranded in Gaza along with her brother and his family, said Israel is going too far. No, Humza, Hamas went too far, and if you can't say that, then you've got no place being the First Minister of Scotland. You should be locked up for hate. Your own law. Irony, eh? Orly Goldschmidt, spokeswoman for the Israeli embassy to London, said Israel was not targeting civilians, but told Radio Times there will be innocent people who will pay tragically with their lives, but this is a state of war, and we have to prevent anyone from harming us again. We have no quarrel with the Palestine people. We're trying to protect ourselves from the Hamas barbaric organisation, which is exactly, if not worse, than ISIS. Yeah, that's right. Drive Hamas into the sea. Hang them in public, every single one of them, and make every Palestinian march past every hanging Hamas and say, you join Hamas, that'll be you. And how are Hamas and that getting their weapons? It's got to come in from somewhere, and there's only one land border with Gaza, and that's Egypt. So that's where they're coming in. That or the sea. And I would suggest that Israel deploys a ring of steel around the whole of Gaza and just keep everything out. And I tell you now, the great thing, and this is where the people in Gaza are really going to screw the pooch over this, is that virtually every job in Gaza is reliant on Israel. Every single one. Do you think Gaza is going to be a failed state soon? Because they're not going to get any jobs. No one from Gaza will be allowed into Israel at all to do work. So what are they going to do? There'll be no work, there'll be no money. Who's going to support them? Who's going to pay for them? Who's going to put the food in? Won't be Israel. Why would Israel do it? Israel just go, no. And don't blame them. It's just, if you get, what's the term I use? It's a common term now. It's being used a lot. Fuck around and find out. Well, the Palestinians have fucked around and now they're finding out. You don't support Hamas. Now the Palestinians have got one way of surviving this, and it is their only out. They've got to go through the whole of Gaza themselves, find every member of Hamas, and hand them over to the Israelis, and ensure that there is no Hamas left in Gaza. That's the only way it's going to stop. The ball is in the Palestine's court. Anyway, I shall stop there and come up. So the pun is entirely intended, of course, but I say that Suella is a braver man than Humza Yousaf. She told the police in England and Wales, if they see those slogans, treat it as what it is: hate, division, it's illegal, public order. Take the slogan away and arrest the person, chanting it or carrying it on a board. She's got balls. Humza hasn't, because, of course, he daren't send that letter to the Chief Constable of Scotland saying that this is unacceptable and it's got to be stopped. He daren't do it. He literally daren't. He's shitting his little pants over it. Because if he did that, he's got to go down the mosque and the people down there are going to be very, very angry with him. And we know what that often turns into. And so the top coward of Scotland, the most cowardly piece of human filth, the supporter of murdering bastards, daren't tell the police what to do this time because he's too scared. A chicken shit First Minister, too scared to uphold the law in Scotland in case a certain minority group don't like it. I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Let's hope that he grows a pair of balls and tells the police to arrest them, but don't hold your breath. He obviously is a piece of human filth, isn't he? And he is, of course, as he's admitted now, a supporter of Hamas. So what do you expect, Scotland? You put in a supporter of Hamas as your First Minister. What are you going to get? More of this. More of this on a regular basis. Only worse. And the police will be too scared to deal with it. Until next time, stay safe. Stay very safe. Stay well. Keep off the streets. And remember, next time you vote, you don't want to be voting for Hamas. Goodbye.